Don't Worry Darling is one of the most talked about movies right now, though it might not be for the right reasons, as there's currently drama surrounding director Olivia Wilde and actor Shia LaBeouf. However, it's also notable for being one of the few original movies in theaters this year, amongst a bunch of remakes and sequels. The movie began as a spec script, which means that it was written without the guarantee that a studio would buy it, and it started a bidding war. A ton of spec scripts have been sold at high prices, but only the special ones have started bidding wars. Between a high-concept time travel movie, a 90s erotic thriller, and a postmodern medieval adventure flick, these had studios locking horns. All budget and box office figures are according to Box Office Mojo. Spotlight, 2015. Spotlight is one of the rare films about a tragic real-life story that still manages to be totally thrilling, as it follows the Boston Globe journalist team's attempt to expose the Catholic Church for brushing child molestation charges under the rug. Spotlight, which was originally called Father-Daughter Time, caused a huge bidding war that involved so many different studios and even actors. According to Script Mag, Matt Damon was going head-to-head with Warner Bros. for the script, and Aldrich even noted Matt wanted to buy it with his own money. They were competing against Warner Bros. Until the 11th hour. Aldrich was a bartender before he sold his first screenplay, as he also wrote The Cleaner, which got him out of the bars and allowed him to write full-time. Deja Vu, 2006. Deja Vu is one of the most expensive spec scripts of all time, as super producer Jerry Bruckheimer bought the screenplay for $5 million. According to the Los Angeles Times, the sci-fi writer's agents acted like it was a scene right out of Entourage, pitting studios against each other. However, they were lenient toward Bruckheimer, as, "We gave him a 48-hour head start, which is a profound courtesy in this business. It means nobody else gets to bid on the script." That ultimately led to Bruckheimer winning the time travel movie. But while Bruckheimer has made billions at the box office, Deja Vu might be one of the movies he regrets purchasing, as the film had a budget of $75 million and only made $180 million worldwide. That figure may sound like a success, but between its production cost, marketing budget, and the movie theater's cut, the 2006 film would have needed around $190 to break even. Don't Worry Darling, 2022. It still isn't exactly clear what Don't Worry Darling is about, other than the fact that it's set in the 50s, it seems like a thriller, and there's some kind of cult led by Chris Pine's character. But whatever it's about, it had studios fighting over it. According to Deadline, Katie Silberman's screenplay had 18 bidders fighting for it. However, it just goes to show that no matter how great the screenplay is, it can't carry the movie to critical success if the acting, cinematography, and every other element of the film weren't up to scratch. Despite igniting a bidding war, the movie has gotten less than stellar reviews, as it was criticized for being all style and no substance. But given all of the talk about the drama surrounding Don't Worry Darling, the film could still be a hit at the box office. The Long Kiss Goodnight, 1996. By 1996, Shane Black had reached rock star status. In the 1990s, writers ruled Hollywood as studios spent tens of millions each year on hot original scripts, and Black's brand of macho buddy cop flicks was the most in demand. The writer had already made millions off Lethal Weapon, The Last Boy Scout, and Last Action Hero, but The Long Kiss Goodnight got him his biggest payday ever. According to the New York Times, the 1996 crime thriller caused a bidding war, and studios were so in love with the violent script that even Disney was interested. New Line Cinema finally won the bidding war due to being a fairly new studio and wanting to make a name for itself. However, that might have been a mistake, as it's one of Shane Black's lowest-grossing movies to date. Project Power, 2020. With streaming services desperate for top-quality content and to prove that they're just as good as the major movie studios, they haven't exactly been staying out of the Hollywood bidding wars. In fact, they've been at the front and center, with one of the biggest examples being Netflix's Project Power. According to Variety, though the sale price remains undisclosed, the screenplay got bids from several studios. As Netflix has been known to throw large sums of money at creators, the number was undoubtedly extremely high. Whether it was worth it or not will remain a mystery, as Netflix isn't exactly the most transparent when it comes to its streaming numbers. Basic Instinct, 1992. Basic Instinct was the start of a short-lived trend in Hollywood, the erotic thriller. Though it only lasted for a few short years, the number of erotic thrillers that were released in Basic Instinct's wake was unbelievable. Erotic thrillers were like the superhero genre of the 1990s. Despite the subgenre being extremely new and almost unheard of at the time, according to Esquire, the screenplay led to a bidding war. The studio, Carolco Pictures, must have had some kind of crystal ball to risk so much money on what was unprecedented at the time, but it paid off. After winning the bidding war by paying $3 million for the screenplay and then throwing $50 million into the budget, the movie made over $350 million worldwide. Eurotrip, 2004. Just like how erotic thrillers were Hollywood's biggest trend in the 90s, that was succeeded by teen comedies in the 2000s. Following the huge success of American Pie, studios were fighting over crude comedies filled with vulgarity, and Eurotrip was the biggest success out of all of them when it comes to Spec script sales. The 2004 movie, which was originally titled The Ugly Americans, was one of the hottest scripts in the early 2000s, and according to the Globe and Mail, it caused a bidding war, which DreamWorks eventually won for $3 million. However, by 2004, the genre was already starting to get stale, and Eurotrip totally bombed at the box office. The Boondock Saints, 1999. The Boondock Saints led to a dream offer for first-time writer Troy Duffy, as Harvey Weinstein pulled out all the stops to win the bidding war. According to Den of Geek, the producer offered Duffy not only $300,000, but he let the writer direct the movie and even allowed his band, The Brood, to make the soundtrack too. And the cherry on top, Weinstein bought Duffy the bar he was currently working at. Unfortunately, the movie bombed at the box office, making a miserable $30,000 worldwide. The Boondock Saints is one of those movies that critics hate but audiences love, as critics weren't kind to the Quentin Tarantino-influenced violent crime flick. However, it has since grown a huge cult following, and the studio has no doubt made up for its box office failure with DVD and Blu-ray sales, as well as streaming syndication rights. A Knight's Tale, 2001. According to South Coast Today, Brian Helgeland enjoyed a huge bidding war over his Spec script, A Knight's Tale, and it's easy to see why. The 2001 release is a four-quadrant adventure comedy, and it has licks of postmodernism in there for the cinephiles too. But Helgeland is no first-time writer and has been around the block a few times. The screenwriter had already won an Academy Award for the neo-noir movie LA Confidential 4 years earlier. While how much the writer earned for the script is unknown, in hindsight, it might not have been worth it for the studio. The film marks another underperformance for the studio, as it made just $117 million off a budget of $65 million. Safe House, 2012. Just like Deja Vu, Safe House is another Denzel Washington-led movie that started out as a Spec script. The screenplay had major legs, as it started a huge bidding war with tons of studios fighting it out for the rights to the thriller movie. According to the Los Angeles Times, Hollywood was in a frenzy over the screenplay. Universal Pictures won the bidding war by offering writer David Guggenheim a mid-six-figure offer. While that isn't the millions that writers were being offered in the 1990s, that's a huge win for an original thriller screenplay in the 2010s, as studios were regurgitating their older movies more than ever at the time.